Nicotine directly affects the sperm quality. All the heroes come with a cigarette in their hand, or they're doing some very deep thinking and or suddenly they're stressed.
What's more dangerous, a hookah once a week or a cigarette in a day?
It's like asking what's more dangerous. Is it Mysore Pak or is it Gulab Jamun?
Hey guys, welcome back to Stay Tuned with Anusha, where I bring podcast videos which are real, raw, and relevant. So here I am with somebody who is not just important but is also saving lives and making science cool on Instagram. So here I welcome Dr. Anusha, also known as the Cough Doctor. So welcome Anusha, and thank you for being on my podcast.
Hi Anusha, thank you.
So, Anusha, what inspired you to become a specialist in lungs and other subsidiary aspects?
So actually my whole family has a history of bronchitis and asthma and everything, and my father was an anesthetist, so he had been treating them for years together. So I thought why not let me specialize in the field where I have a family history of this and treat them in a very better way and a more organized way. So and I joined prior to COVID, so I did not know my importance would improve when I pass out. We are more visible after COVID. Before that, we were just known as TB doctors. But after COVID, people got to know the concept of pulmonologist. Okay, these people are also important. So COVID actually gave us a push for all the pulmonologists.
So, since we are sitting here to talk about tobacco, its effects on us, and how it will be a long-term effect, and how will it affect others who is living with person dealing with tobacco and all. How common has it become in India to use tobacco, and why is it not being banned?
See, tobacco has been there since ages. If you know our ancestors and everything, they used to have this chillam, hookah. In some or the other form, it has been there. And of late, newer forms have been added in the form of like hookahs and e-cigarettes and everything. Recent study actually said that around 29% of the people use tobacco are aged more than 15 years. So 29% is actually a very, very big number for the amount of diseases it can cause. Tobacco does not spare any organ of your body. It is not just because you're smoking, it just doesn't affect your lungs. And why it is not banned? Come on, 29% are smoking, so look at the revenue that is going to be generated out of it. All the bad things that are bad are never banned. You just add more tax to it and get more revenue out of it. So that's how it works.
Okay, so now as you said, above age 15, they are consuming a lot, around 29%. So why Gen Z do you think is making it cool, to consume all this is socially accepted? What mindset do they have, you think so?
Probably I feel it is more to do with the entertainment industry, where all you go in a pensive mood, you have a cigarette in your hand and you smoke and it looks very cool. Yeah, very heroic entry. All the heroes come with a cigarette in their hand, or they're doing some very deep thinking and or suddenly they're stressed. See, most of the times, even when we were there, we used to look at the heroines. So the guys mostly look at the heroes who are making movies, and they get a lot of inspiration. And it is that time their puberty hits and they want to try out new things. So just out of curiosity, they try. Obviously, you get a kick out of it. You start liking it. That time it's very difficult for them to understand what bad effects it can have. So they just start it out as a curiosity and it goes on to become a habit.
You mentioned that they do smoking and all just to reduce stress or whenever they are stressed. So do you think this will cause even more stress and other tensions in the body, or it will definitely just give relaxation?
No, that temporary relaxation, they might feel that is what is your dopamine doing for you. So this goes and activates the center and releases a lot of dopamine. That's why you feel good. That's a very temporary thing, but in the long run, definitely it's going to increase your stress. It makes you more vulnerable for all the diseases. Your immune system comes down, direct effect on your heart. It causes all possible cancers in your body. It causes infertility.
infertility both in men and women.
Yes, in both men and women, because it is not just active smoking, even there is second hand smoking that is called passive smoking. There's even third hand smoking, where even if you smoke and the soot is on your clothes, and if your wife is there around and all, the soot, if you inhale that soot, even that is going to affect.
But people come out and say, by 30, I'll stop smoking and then I'll plan for kids and all. Will that work, or it's too late now already?
See, at 30, ideally, if I do a pulmonary function test between a smoker and a non-smoker, so there's not going to be much difference. But what happens after 30, naturally our age, our lung advances. So meaning our lung functions goes on reducing by the nature of aging. But if you have been using tobacco, or if there is nicotine in your body, that aging of the lungs happens at a much faster rate. So at 50 years, your lungs will be like 90. So that is what is going to happen. You can't say, okay, I'm going to smoke till 30 and then I'm going to stop. Actually, it requires 15 years for a smoker to reach a non-smoker state. Yes, but that doesn't mean that you are totally away from the ill effects of smoking, because we have seen a lot of cases who have lung cancer in their later stage, who have been ex-smokers. They would have stopped smoking 40-50 years back, but they still develop lung cancer. So once it enters your body, it doesn't really go away. The after effects are always there.
But we also hear stories where people say, hey, no, my grandfather smoked till 90, nothing has happened to him. So it's a genetic trait, or there's some science attached to it?
See, in cancer, we have something called as two-hit hypothesis. So basically, there'll be a risk factor. So in our case, there is smoking. And the second hit is actually the genetic mutation. So probably your grandfather is blessed with very good genes, and he's not had that mutation, and so he didn't develop cancer. But I'm pretty sure he would be coughing, he would be having COPD, he would be having bronchitis. But if you had bad genes and you'd have had that genetic mutation, definitely you might land up having cancer. So it doesn't really mean that if you smoke and nothing is going to happen to you.
Okay, coming back to the point where boys say, I'll stop by 30 and then plan for kids. And since they would have already smoked around 18 to 30, the lung would be already a bit damaged. So will that be passed to the future genes?
Yes, definitely, because nicotine directly affects the sperm quality. So yeah, the quality of the sperm reduces. Directly smoking can also cause primary infertility in many men, and because it reduces the quality of the sperms, the offsprings are definitely affected. The same occurs even in pregnant women. If the husbands are smoking, so the second-hand smoke can affect the baby that is there in the womb. So the amniotic fluid and everything, the placenta that is there in the mother's womb, can have minute traces of smoking, and that can cause a ill effect on the baby. It can become a small baby, or it can they can deliver prematurely. So all those things.
So are you saying that even if the father smokes outside of the house, it's still going to affect the baby in the womb?
Outside the house, baby in the womb, not so directly, but definitely the wife is going to be affected, the shirt, and if he's smoking 30-40 in a day. So the smoke, when he smokes, so the soot gets on the clothes. So definitely that is going to affect the mother. They might not see an immediate effect, but definitely there have been studies which have said that definitely the unborn child is going to be affected. We always advise to our patients, if their wives are pregnant, or especially and who are asthmatics, if somebody is smoking in the house, please we ask them to not to, because it increases the wheezing attacks.
Okay, I have a question for you. What's more dangerous, a hookah once a week or a cigarette in a day?
So it's like asking what's more dangerous. Is it Mysore Pak or is it Gulab Jamun? So both are essentially the same, though. See, in hookah or e-cigarettes, there is no physical burning of the tobacco. It is not direct tobacco, it is nicotine. But definitely both hookah and vapes, they do cause damage to your lungs, similar to how a smoking cigarette does. There's a condition called E-Valley. So it's called e-cigarette or vaping induced lung injury. It's technically like having a lung failure. So you may land up in pneumonitis and you'll have lung failure. You may land up in ICU because of that. There have been many cases in US where usually these teens, they pick up and they smoke, and mostly what they do, they use this vape as a way to wean them off, I mean get rid of the cigarettes. Most of them, they come and ask me, so ma'am, I am very addicted to cigarettes, so can I use vapes to get rid of them? I'm like, this is like udat kottu barsat tagondiddange. So you want to deal with addiction, you don't have to get another addiction. You should use other better ways to deal with it.
So there's one suggestion that they come up with is a herbal cigarette. So is it just a technique of marketing or is it equally harmful?
I think the word cigarette itself is a big red flag. So in any form, whatever they do, they're definitely harmful.
So now Gen Z and all, we party a lot. And if we don't smoke, we are not seemed cool. So in every party, there will be a smoking break. So if I ever a person who is totally a non-smoker, I still want to fit in. I still want to enjoy with my colleagues or circle of friends. How would I go and say that, no, I won't smoke, but still I'll be a part of it? But is that going to still affect us?
Definitely it's going to affect. As much as you smoke, it's the smoke that goes into your body via smoking affects your body. The similar way, the smoke that comes out of the cigarette, the other person who is in front of you is equally affected. So even if you're not smoking and you are staying in the region where there is a smoking zone, definitely it puts you at the equal risk. So I feel you should altogether ban this culture about smoke break. And I know it takes really a lot of deal, but this concept should really change and do something else probably. It should come as a group. So one group starts it catches on, so like that.
So how is smoking gonna affect on women and her fertility?
Direct smoking, yes, it's going to reduce your egg quality. It makes you find it difficult to conceive. It reduces your AMH levels. AMH level is basically your fertility levels. As it is, after 30 years, your AMH levels drop. That is why we say we have to conceive earlier the better, and you start having primary infertility. That is with primary smoking. Even passive smoking, it does affect in the similar fashion.
So to detach from smoking, people come up with nicotine patches or gums. Is it just a marketing strategy, or do they actually work?
No, they do actually work. They work only if they've been prescribed by your doctor. The problem is they have been made OTC. I mean, they have made it as over-the-counter drug. So anybody can go and take however they want. So there's a method to take it, and there's a way how many to be taken, and every time there's a craving. So there's a way. There's something called as park and chew method. So you have to keep the nicotine in your mouth and you have to keep chewing whenever you have a craving. So there's a certain way to do it. So if you just randomly go and try, it is not going to work. A certain methodology has to be followed, and that is actually what is recommended to get rid of your smoking.
Okay, if a 25-year-old boy who had started smoking at around 18 or 19, now he has understood that he has come to senses that he has to stop. So should he stop all of a sudden, or he has to go in a slow rapo, or what necessity measures should be taken?
See, there is nothing called as reducing slowly. Okay, I'll reduce one by one. That is never going to happen. So you have to go for one shot. You're going to stop it. Though it does cause a lot of discomfort, they're going to have a lot of withdrawal and everything. But that is the best way to quit smoking. If you start reducing one by one, you may lose that zeal to stop smoking, and you will feel, okay, 1 cigarette a day, 2 cigarettes a day will not do much harm, and you will keep on continuing it. So the success rate only depends when you completely stop smoking. Keep a quit date. So that's what we say. We keep a quit date. So from then on, I'm not going to smoke, and whatsoever be the consequences, you should be just ready to deal with that.
So they can stop all of a sudden.
Definitely. It just requires a lot of willpower. And the support from your family and friends, that plays a lot of role. So if there are friends who are going to coax you for every tea break you get a smoke, you're never going to quit it. You have to genuinely try and stop all possible ways to quit. Remove all the cigarettes from your house, and you tell your friends that you're genuinely trying to quit, and they should not make fun of you, because this is an important decision of your life, and you're taking charge of your life by quitting smoking. You should not be made fun, and they should be equally supportive. The family members should be supportive, because once you stop, you're going to have a lot of mood swings, you're going to have a lot of craving, and you will feel a lot of hunger and some nausea. I mean, you will feel your heart beating faster, so you'll feel a lot of things, and that is where you want to smoke. So that is when the gums and the patches come into help. They slowly release the nicotine so that the brain gets tricked that you're actually smoking, but this is a good nicotine and not the harmful chemicals that are present in your cigarette. So in like 4 to 6 weeks, if you persistently follow it, you will be able to quit smoking.
Okay, let's keep these facts of cigarettes and hookah aside. Now let's come to asthma. So, how can asthma start all of a sudden to even to a newborn baby or to any women in her 30s or 20s? So, how does it attack actually?
See, asthma, yes, in women it is definitely seen more. The ratio is around 3:1. So, asthma mostly it has a by two age group. Either you have it in your younger, less than 12 years, like that, and mostly, or else it comes after 30, 40 years. So, sometimes they would have had in their childhood, and then they grow out of it, and then suddenly, somewhere in your 40s and 50s, you may land up again. It doesn't really come all of a sudden. So, you would be having some predisposing factor, like somebody in your family would have had this what do you say, dust allergy. So when you're exposed to dust, you have a lot of sneezing, running nose and all, or whenever the weather changes, you will be the first one to catch a cold. So it keeps repeatedly happening. So some genetics is definitely involved, and off late what we are seeing is post COVID. So post COVID, even without any genetic predisposition, women are getting these asthma like symptoms. Probably it is the virus that has made some mutations, and people are becoming more prone for it. It never generally happens very sudden. So generally how the typical picture would be, so some may have like early morning sneezing, running nose and the sinus headaches and all, or else whenever there's a weather change, they keep catching cold, cough. You take antibiotic, you take tablets, you're fine. Again next month, same thing happens. Again third month, same thing happens. So the cycle keeps on repeating. So that's where we pick up and think, oh, these people, we call their hyperreactive. So their body, there are these allergens in the atmosphere, mainly, for example, pollens, and then there is dust mite. Dust mite, these are very small insects. They're mainly present in your bed sheets, pillow covers, carpet, curtains, rugs, soft toys. So all these places, they are very much present. And then cockroaches, rats, fungus, and pets. So these are the very common allergens. So what happens, normally any person would not react to it. So by virtue of some predisposition or certain individual, they are hyper responsive towards it. So whenever they get exposed to it, they start developing these symptoms. So when they come to us, we evaluate in a particular manner. So we get to know that they are probably having some wheezing issues, and then we start them on treatment, and it's pretty much under control.
Is there any certain type of food that we should avoid if a person is asthmatic?
See, everybody thinks that fruits are the biggest villain for an asthmatic. Fruits, and I will say curds. They are the biggest villain. But as much as people think that food causes asthma, it is these allergens which causes asthma. And especially during this winter and rainy season, there is this sudden shift in the temperature. This makes the viruses more active. So it's not actually the food that you're eating. It is these viruses. You would have caught some viral infection. You'd have traveled somewhere. So that is what it causes. But definitely there are certain foods, there are triggers. So there are certain food triggers like preservatives, and there are sulfites. Sulfites, these are present in dry fruits. It's present in wine. So that can cause, MSG can cause monosodium glutamate. So that can cause definitely high sugary food. That sugar, by now we all know it causes a lot of inflammation. So in asthma also, it is basically the inflammation of your breathing tubes. So that can cause. So basically, these are few food items.
Okay, now skincare has become more famous on Instagram. Every influencer or every person in house, they have started skincare. Now, do you think lung care should also be implemented?
Yes, definitely. Actually, more than skincare, it should be the lung care because it is your lungs which is going to provide oxygen to your body. But people sadly are more about the looks and than about the internal organs. But yeah, definitely yes, you should give an importance to your lungs. Few common things like having an active lifestyle, very very important. Active meaning have some form of physical activity. So because you don't have that, in turn causes obesity. Obesity is in turn is a predisposing factor for asthma. So it's like a vicious cycle. So active lifestyle, and then food especially when it comes to your lungs, antioxidants are very good for your lungs. So antioxidants are mainly present in any colored food, for example capsicum, carrot, beetroot, and then your nuts and seeds. So all these cashews and walnut and almonds and your sunflower seeds, flax seeds, watermelon seeds. So all these things good in antioxidants. So you have to consume more of that. And the other thing is we all suggest them to take flu vaccination. That is a very undermined thing that people are not aware. So the moment I ask my patients, have you taken vaccine? They're like, yeah, I've taken COVID vaccine. So they're not aware of any vaccines beyond COVID vaccines. So we have mainly two kinds of vaccine. There is one is for flu vaccine and another one is pneumonia vaccines. So pneumonia vaccines we generally give in much older population, more than 50 years. But flu vaccination above 6 months of age, everybody and anybody can take the vaccine. It is definitely going to help them in preventing this recurrent flu-like infections.
Is asthma curable or it's gonna be there forever?
So if you had asked me 10 years back, I would have still said no, asthma is actually not a curable disease. It's going to come again and again. But now with the help of very good inhalers, you can keep it under control. And we have something called as biological injections. So you have monthly shots, monthly injections, so which will help to reduce your allergy levels and sort of give you a curative state. And we also have something called as immunotherapy. So in this, what we do is, if you're allergic to a particular thing, say dust mite, if you're allergic to it, so we give medicine in the form of dust mite. So we give you in a graded form. We start with the lowest possible concentration and then we increase the concentration slowly so that you get immune to it. So that when you're exposed to that in the atmosphere, you will not be able to react to it and you will not have symptoms. So by these means, definitely I can say it is curable.
These informations are not around open anywhere.
Yes, they are just coming up now. It was not there, I would say, like I said, 10 years back, it was not there. So now newer, these are called biologicals. So mainly based around the cytokines and the inflammatory mediators, they are there. So they are mainly increased when you have an asthma attack. So basically they go and reduce that so that you will not have any of those symptoms. We have so many patients who have taken those injections and they have not had symptoms in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like that. So they've been very happy.
So this personal thing that I want to share is my mother. She was born and raised in North Karnataka. And then after marriage, she comes to Bangalore. And after having kids, suddenly she is being asthmatic for almost over 1.5 decades. And then it just goes off all of a sudden. So what could be the reason?
See, what happens especially during pregnancy, your body undergoes a lot of changes. There's a lot of stress around, and then there is postpartum, you're feeding and you're draining in a lot of energy. So that time, I can say that your lungs become a bit weak. So you may develop, or if she had any previous history in the family, she would have had that gene. In certain age, you get it, but after some time, you outgrow of it, which is actually good.
We have quick myth busting round. So the first one you have is hookah is safer than smoking.
No, definitely not. Both are very bad. Please don't touch either of them.
Okay. Vape pens don't contain tobacco, hence they are safe to continue.
Doesn't contain tobacco, but it still contains nicotine. So nicotine always bad? No.
So if you have asthma, you can't play sports.
Oh, that's a very wrong thing. There are so many players. I think Ronaldo has asthma and he's you see. So with asthma, very much under control, doesn't really stop you from playing any form of sports. In fact, if you're into sports, it improves your fitness and thereby your asthma also actually improves. I mean, your exacerbations, the wheezing attacks, everything comes down significantly.
Allergic rhinitis and asthma are unrelated.
No, they are very much related because rhinitis is your nose issue and asthma is your lungs issue. The lining, I mean, the tissue that lines your nose and the lungs, they are the same. So either gets affected, the other one can follow. It's like that. So both can happen simultaneously.
So I have heard that vitamin D if vitamin D is low, then rhinitis is more.
I mean, it is just a observation that is seen that in most of the asthmatics or who are having this allergic rhinitis, they found that vitamin D was low. So we do supplement them with that, but doesn't really cure your asthma. But what I would suggest is early morning sunlight, 7:30, which most of us don't do it. Early morning sunlight does so much good to your body, not just in terms of asthma, it improves your sleep and everything. So what I suggest, instead of that in early age, if your values are not critically low, so just 7 to 7:30, half an hour, do some stretches or do some jog or walk in the early sunlight. That does a great thing to your body.
Once you quit smoking, your lung never recovers.
No, not like that. You quit smoking. It depends on whether you're having symptoms or not. So I have seen people who have had symptoms with smoking and they have quit, and definitely their symptoms have become better and everything. And if they have been asymptomatic, then you would not see much change throughout your life. If you're lucky, you will not get anything. But yeah, smoking, if you have stopped, it is definitely done good to your body, and your lung does go back to a normal state. As I said, it takes around 15 years, but we cannot assure you that you will not at all develop any health issue which is related to your smoking. Sometime you would have smoked, it would have been imprinted somewhere in your body.
So will smoking does trigger asthma more and more and more over the time?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. Smoking is a big no if you're asthmatic. See, what happens in asthma, you have a wheezing attack. So what happens in wheezing? Your breathing tubes, they become smaller in size. We give you medications to make it bigger. So it becomes smaller, and actually it automatically comes back to its normal when you're not having symptoms. So every time you have an attack, generally this happens in asthma. So if you're having smoking, what happens is this coming back to normal size goes away. That component goes away. So it chronically becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and you may develop something called as COPD. COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So what happens there is, because of the nicotine that is present in your tobacco, it's going to damage your air sacs. Air sacs are the one which helps to take in oxygen and bring out the carbon dioxide. So they go in, and as elasticity is there, so that loses and they become completely big like this, and they become these air-filled sacs which become non-functional. So that condition is called as emphysema. So you may land up becoming that, where your asthma lung is like a rubber band. You stretch and then it comes back to normal. You stretch, it comes back to normal. But with smoking, you will stretch and you will never come back to normal. So you'll be lifelong, you will have symptoms, and it increases the risk of wheezing attacks, increases the risk of infections. So big no if you're asthmatic.
We have heard that by smoking or vaping, we'll get lung cancer. What other kind of cancers we can develop that we don't know of?
Oh, every organ. You will have bladder cancer, you have ovarian cancer, and you have pancreatic cancer, and many, literally everything is associated with tobacco smoking.
And about brain, how is it going to affect our cognitive?
Brain, more than smoking, actually causes, you will be more prone to develop strokes. So what happens is smoking, it makes your blood vessels very brittle. So suddenly if because of that, your BP is going to shoot up. So BP is going to shoot up, and suddenly your blood vessels can burst. And it can cause a clot in your brain, and that's how you'll end up having a stroke. And the same thing happens in your heart also. Smoking goes on reducing the quality of your blood vessels. They make them more brittle and they becomes narrower and narrower to a point that it will cause a complete block and your heart doesn't get blood supply. So that's when you will end up having a massive heart attack. If you have been a chronic smoker, you will not even have time to have one or two small attacks and then a bigger one. Suddenly you can have a very massive attack and you will not even have time to recover and you're gone in a second.
Okay, so the treatment for asthma is inhalers. So many people do think that inhalers could be addictive if we keep using it again and again. So is it a myth or is it actually true?
See, addiction comes when it's a bad thing. So, with the help of this inhaler therapy, you're actually able to breathe better. So, in any way, no medicine can be addictive. It is actually the nature of the disease which will make you use the inhaler again and again. And by using an inhaler, if you're able to breathe better, you're able to feel better, then why not? Like, you shouldn't be shunning away from using the inhaler. And definitely, no, it is not addictive at all.
Bangalore is so much prone to air pollution now. So how will that affect asthmatic people, even if they sit in AC car or in AC bus?
Bangalore pollution, yes, definitely it is becoming worse and worse by the year. The key goal is to maintain the AQI. AQI, wherever you are, it's called air quality index. So wherever you are staying, AQI between 50 to 100 is ideally supposed to be a good one. Anywhere between 100 to 200, if the AQI is there, it's actually equivalent to smoking 3 to 5 cigarettes. So that is going to be as bad as smoking your cigarettes. So one good way to have a better AQI is you have to install air purifiers. So there are these air purifiers which have UV light and UV filter that is going to filter out all this particulate matter. So there are, when in air pollution, there are two kinds. There is particulate matter of 2.5 micron size and 10 micron size. So 2.5 micron and 10 micron essentially goes into the bronchioles, as in the smaller tube. They get locked there, and that's when you start getting infections. So if you have installed these air purifiers at home, so they help to filter out these particulate matter, and they definitely help you to breathe better air and maintain the AQI.
But how can a common man who can't, adequate all these air purifiers can deal with this?
I would say the cheapest way is to mask up. Yes, use your mask, and I would say use an N95 mask. So that gives a very good sealing to your nose and mouth, and that definitely prevents in getting exposed to a lot of allergens in the atmosphere.
You're telling like, hello Bangalore, please mask up. The air pollution is going up and down all the year.
But yeah, we are definitely better than what it is in Delhi. So that is there. We don't have to be worried that much. But what happens in Bangalore, there's a lot of pollens that are there. So whenever people move from other cities, no, it is this pollen and this sudden shift in temperature. So one day it's very hot and sunny, and the evening it starts pouring very badly. So all these viruses become more active.
Bangalore is always on mood swing.
Yeah, definitely. So that is what causes more. Yes, mask etiquette, yes. And that is when the flu vaccination comes into picture. So you take that flu vaccination. The most commonly it is the viral infection that is going to cause you cold coughs and everything.
So what is the minimum age for this vaccine?
6 months. 6 months. So anybody and everybody above 6 months of age, whether or not you have asthma or you're prone for this cold cough, it is always better to take this vaccine. So something as cheap as 2,000 rupees. That vaccine just costs 2,000 rupees. So yearly if you take it, and when everybody takes it, it kind of gives like a blanket immunity to everyone. And
to be taken every year.
yeah, it is an annual vaccine. So generally WHO is there that decides what strains has to be given in the vaccine. So now for this year, the newer strains have already come. It's there. It came in March. So whoever you know whoever is more prone, they to definitely have to take, and other people also, there is definitely no harm in taking. I'll tell you an incident. Actually, in my own house, my husband, he's a neurologist, so he hadn't taken the vaccine. Me and my father, we both had taken the vaccine, so he got stuck with the H1N1 and it was really bad. We had to admit him. Right after he got discharged, it was my mother who got affected. Me and my dad, we were totally not affected, and even my daughter who was vaccinated, she had a very mild sore throat and she was a little under the weather, but it didn't become a full-blown disease. Even whenever the weather changes, I can feel some throat irritation is going on and I feel, okay, am I going to get a big flu illness? And then after 1 or 2 days, it automatically becomes good. So that is what the difference I have seen when you take a flu vaccine and you don't.
So you're telling like, hello Bangalore, please mask up. The air pollution is going up and up all the year.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Dr. Anusha, for being on my podcast. You had given immense information regarding asthma, allergies, vaping culture, hookah culture, and bursting all the myths that we had formed around our head. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's been my immense pleasure. I just hope if at least one person stops smoking after watching this video, I think we have achieved what we want.
Definitely.